to go from one representative to the other.
Yeah, and it's so good as a legislative reporter to have Representative Gay in studio. But this time around, talking more about
We're talking diplomacy this time around.
Yes, so let's bring in the Honorable Lawmaker now. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
How is it like from Capitol Hill?
Well, we are on break currently, so we spend more time in our district and send the vacation, send the constituency break. Spend more time in Nimba than in Monrovia because it's where we took the power from. So we had to revert to the people, in such a time, especially on the constituency break, to sit with our people, discuss development issues, social, political, and economic issues that are relevant to the forward movement of our district collectively. And so I just came from Nima yesterday, and I'll be going back tomorrow. So thank you for the invitation, and I'm here for us to discuss a lot of issues about China Liberia's relations, and my perspective about China Liberia's relations, and also about my experience in China when I was in school, and also my recent visit to China. So
yes, that's why we're going to be starting about your recent visit, and we'll also be looking at what's on the plate for the constituency break as far as the people of District Number 3 in Nimba County are concerned. But let's start with this one. What was it that you go do to China recently?
The trip to China was actually made based on the invitation given to me by the president of URBE, the University of International Business Economics, URBE, where I did my master's. And first time in the history of university for a graduate to assume a political position in his country. So based upon that, they felt that it was an achievement for the university, and they gave an invitation to me and the ambassador Ching was actually instrumental in facilitating the visitation. He was the one who actually paved the way and did every necessary arrangement for the visit. When I left Liberia, I entered Beijing, and he facilitated made arrangement in consultation with the Liberian embassy in Beijing, and I was able to have a very big, elaborate program at the URB campus. The program was actually attended by the president of the university, along with dean of all the colleges within the university, and almost majority of the international students from all around the world assembled in the hall. And what amazed me was that when I entered the hall, I saw a very big, a placard on the wall, welcome on reggae, co-chair foreign affairs, host committee, welcome alumni.
That must have been a proud moment for you. I know URBE because they sit right across the road there, opposite China and Daily newspaper. It's a huge university.
Yeah, so it was amazing. It was an incredible event, for me. Because what amazed me was that when I was at the university for 2 years, from 2015 to 2017, I did not one day see the president. I only heard about him.
Wow.
But
when the university.
Yes. But this time around, when I went to the university, when I was escorted by Mr. Moaba Kawe, who is a counselor at the embassy, because he was requested by the ambassador to escort me to the meeting. So when we got at the university campus around 9:30 in the morning, the president of the university was standing, to receive, me and Mr. Moaba Kawe from the embassy, and we were escorted to the museum of the university, and we were actually shown a lot of historical artifacts and some of the role that URB have played in ensuring that the educational agenda with China is being pursued to the highest level, and some other prominent citizens from the West and China that have given speeches, at the place. We all view that, in the museum. And after the museum, viewing, we went to my dormitory that I used to dwell in. Went to the dormitory, and from there we took a walk to the hall. And when we entered the hall was actually packed with international students from Ethiopia, from Uganda, from Malawi, from Canada, from America, from all around the world. They were seated to actually hear from me, and I deliver a speech, on
Okay, what was the focus of that speech?
the focus of the speech was actually centered on China's, involvement in educational promotion, and developing the educational agenda of Africa. And my case study was on Liberia, Mile, and some of the interventions that the People's Republic of China have done in pushing our educational agenda forward, especially building the capacity of Liberians, especially when we experience capacity gap, after the civil conflict. And in 2006, when Madam Salif and the president, when and the People's Republic of China, president met and discussed about the capacity building. I think it was where the bilateral scholarship documentation was drafted, and from 2006 up to present, there have been a barrage of Liberian students who have graduated from China, both masters and PhD, even undergraduate level. So I think it has been a very smooth ride, because we see China as a very dependable partner on the basis of mutual interests and commonality that we share, far dated during the colonial period, when Africa and the Asian countries suffer under the imperialist movement, especially during the decolonization era of African continent, when the African continent and the Asian countries met in Indonesia during the Bandung conference to discuss the decolonization of African countries from the hands of the colonial powers. I think that was a fundamental stage of enhancing our cooperation to promote mutual interests and promoting diplomacy between the two continents. So I think China does not see Africa just a friend, but as a trusted partner that is far dated in history. So
China has always held this belief that they are a developing country. They see themselves as the largest developing country and helping countries such as Liberia to grow up. What is your take about, the way China goes about their foreign policy engagements?
I think the China policy is deeply rooted in mutual, interest and respect, of country sovereignty, that is actually characterized by peaceful, coexistence and promoting the the doctrine of respect of each other, sovereignty. So China has been a very peaceful country in the world, and their foreign policy is actually been driven by respect of other people, other countries' sovereignty. So I think they have been very peaceful in articulating their foreign policy to other countries around the world.
Honorable, I mean, as Pelina said, China sees itself as a developing country, but they've had some sort of different interventions in Africa. Why, is China so keen about Africa? What's the interest?
I think China-Africa relations, as I said, is far dated. Far back in the history of antiquity, and they see Africa as a true and reliable partner. So they don't see Africa as just friend, but they see Africa as more, as a truthful and reliable and a genuine friend that has stood by, China's, endeavoring to actually present itself as one of the major powers in the world. So Africa has stood by China in their activities and in both social, economic, and political activities. So they see China, like Africa, as a truthful partner that always stood by them in their foreign policy agenda and formulation, even the implementation in the respective countries of Africa. And actually, more besides that, when you look at the China see itself as developing country, sometimes I tend to sometimes disagree with them sometimes because
Mhm.
if anybody who has been to China in recent years, the level of development that China has executed, and the spirit of developmental activities that they are executing in every part of China. So, the infrastructure development, the bridges, the houses, the buildings, the rail, the metro system, and the kind of system that they are introduced. For me, I feel that China is a developed country. It just that sometimes they say it, but for me, from my own perspective and the way I see China, China is a developed country.
Now,
Take it away.
Honorable Gate, you sit at the highest level as co-chair. Did you say
Yeah,
co-chair?
yeah.
Co-chair on foreign affairs. If you were asked about your perspective, China-Liberia relations, where do you want to see this relationship at the moment? Is it okay, or if it is not, what do you want to see it in the next few months and years ahead?
Historically, China-Liberia relations was established in 1978. Until there was some issues of diplomacy that even made us to go to Taiwan, and
Under former
later
President Taylor.
we came back
Mhm.
to mainland China in 2003, and that was actually legislated, and we have decided to uphold one China policy, as they come up as a priority area in our friendship, and this is why China too has seen Liberia as a very trustful and reliable partner because promoting one China policy, it was also resoluted at the United Nations General Assembly, and so we will continue to uphold that because China, as a reliable partner, we need to uphold this so that we can be able to foster, the relationship as we move forward. We have benefited more from the People's Republic of China since we actually re-established relationship from 2003, and we have benefited from infrastructure development, benefited from educational, achievement, benefited from a lot of programs, short-term training, long-term training, capacity building in the academic, vocational. So they are done a lot, and I think we are getting more, from the friendship,
Mm.
and we continue to say that to value friendship, you need to uphold the dignity and recognize the promotion of mutual interest, in the friendship so that to sustain the continuity of the friendship. So we want to say that Liberia is a very reliable partner to China, and China too is a reliable partner to Liberia. The free diplomacy sometimes, there can be some friction in diplomacy, but the teeth and tongue can bite. There was about ordinary friendship. So there have been some rocky roads along the road, but we feel that we have gone to a level that will continue to promote the one China policy uh, in articulating our foreign policy agenda with China.
How can before my colleague come in, how can your committee impact the relationship between China and Liberia through your actions and inactions?
I think when I arrived in Beijing, the ambassador, through the instrumentality of the ambassador Ying, I was able to meet with the vice chair on foreign affairs committee
Mhm.
at the NPC, and with the scholar teams that we that will actually move our relations forward in terms of cooperation, enrichment in many areas, maybe bilateral cooperation in educational area, energy, agriculture, and even infrastructure development areas. So we discussed a lot of things, and I'm working on my report to forward it to the speakers so that we can, and even this we went to depth into how can we uh, how can we connect,
Mhm.
the two parliament, the National People's Congress of China, and the Liberia, parliament, so that the Liberia legislature,
Mhm.
so that we can work hands in hand to move a lot of things, in common, and to move our agenda forward. So I think when my report is being made, copy will be sent to the Chinese embassy for forward, submission to our partners in Beijing, so that they can be able to at least maybe give invitation for some lawmakers to go there and discuss on
To
other
visit the Great
issues.
Hall of the people.
Yeah,
Great. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
on Roge, you spent over 2 years, like you said, in China, doing your masters, and you were there, and you've come back. There's a lot you've learned about China. I know they too they've had their own challenges, but if you were to say this in terms of how can Liberia model, China's development to harness our own development priorities, what could you say?
I I learned a lot from the People's Republic of China, especially with respect to their development spree across the length and breadth of their territory.
Okay.
It is amazing. It is unprecedented that a country that some years back that was actually down the line has moved ahead with our speed in terms of development, in terms of trade activities. They are moving forward in terms of investment in other countries by somebody at SOE, their state enterprises, their SOEs. They are moving forward. Some of the constructions that have been done in other countries around Africa, they are done by some Chinese, companies. And so when we're in school over there, we these are the how the way the people, have developed with the kind of speed.
Mhm.
How can we, borrow this idea to our country so that we too can, be on the same developmental path? Because the smallest province in China is even more than Liberia in terms of geographical size. So how can a country like China that has more than, 30 some more provinces, big city like Beijing, Shanghai, Tianjin, Dongqing, are developed to that level? How can some of those provinces like Hubei, like Guangdong province, like other provinces, like Jiangsu province, they are developed to that level? How did they manage? So some of these things for me, it is actually, on the basis, it was done on the basis of sincerity, on the basis of patriotic consciousness, on the basis of spirit of nationalism, on the basis of the love for the country, and also language also play a major role in development, because socially people see themselves as one family, and they see themselves as people who speak the same language. So as a result, development in the area move faster, and moreover, the governance structure also of the country, of the People's Republic of China, also helps them in terms of development, because in the People's Republic of China, the National People's Congress meet, in Beijing to discuss the developmental agenda of the country, and they put before the executive for implementation. And then when the executive fails, they hold you accountable. So the fight against corruption is one of the major issues that they are instituted. That zero tolerance on corruption. If you are formed as a corrupt official, if you spend your time in jail, you'll be a pre-trial detainee, and you'll be in the jail while when the ready for trial, they bring you to try and carry in the cell. So some of these, mechanisms that they are put into place is helping them to fight against corruption and making the citizens fair. And over there, the way democracy also has its own, side of the story. Because, like for instance, we who are legislator here, before we do anything, we gotta go to our citizens for them to agree before we can do anything. You don't want to be more autocratic. You don't want to be more dictatorial in decision making. But the system of governance, it works for them. It works for them because the leaders are in charge. They carry on, the development activities for the citizens, and the citizens benefit more because the leaders are thinking for the country. The leader sees the country as a heavy load on their head. What can they do for the people to benefit? What can they do? So,
and they also have the Chinese People Political Consultative Forum where these discussions are held before it goes to the NPC.
Yes. So all these things, they are all factors that have actually elevated and accelerated, the growth and development of China, because they have worked and see themselves as one family, one people with common destiny. And because of the series of history that they have, way back where they went through starvation, they went through hunger, they went through series of attacks, extended aggression, and from other countries like South Korea, Japan, other countries, in their surroundings. So they feel that we need to come together to form a strong, a governance system so that our economy, can be strong, our political system can be strong, and the whole, country political system is actually in a way that it is difficult to penetrate. So when you have that kind of system for people to even corruption to persist, it's very difficult.
What
So
can Liberia, borrow in terms of development so that we can be more of China?
I think is the mindset. Because many persons who go in the public sector go to the public sector to build houses for themselves. They go in the public sector to amass wealth for themselves. But if you go in the public sector with our sincere spirit and our, that commitment and our nationalism spirit, that I'm going in the country, in the seat on the public space to cultivate more ideas, to see myself as a vehicle of change, to see myself as an agent of change, then your mentality will be different. But if you go that, let me go and amass something for myself to be able to get a luxury car, to be able to, to get a farm building for myself, and then that sincerity is not there to be demonstrated with that commitment, my brother, it will be difficult because for the country to develop, the leadership in the country has a key role to play because the leaders are the one who draft the policy, the leaders are the one who draft the law, who make the law, the leaders are the one who make critical decisions as relates to national agenda implementation, and even when it comes to state-to-state relations, that the foreign policy implementation, not a layman that is listening now in way in the village will do it. No, it is implemented by people who are intellectuals, people who are educated. So for Liberia to develop, the law is on the head of the leaders of the country to move the country forward. Until we see ourselves as a vehicle of transformation, to see ourselves as an agent of change, to change Liberia, it will be difficult because our attitude, our behavior, our comportment, our moral activities, if they are diametrically opposing on what we say, then it means that we're not going anywhere. So, but if we come together and consummate some of the ideas, and package it and say and make a decision, make a policy that we can implement it, and we who are also making the policy and the laws should be, people who observe these things in strict adherence to the respectability of the rule of law. It makes it very important for the country to be on the smooth path.
It's impossible for Liberians to cultivate this strong degree of nationalism and patriotism and civil obedience for constituted authorities when you have ruling party versus opposition politics all around us.
Okay, let me tell you something that in China do you know that there are many political parties in China, but you didn't hear about the Communist Party. So what other countries have deployed the development machineries that they have actually deployed is on the basis of the law for the country. It's not just about let me get what I'm supposed to get for myself, but it's about thinking that as a citizen of this country, I'm under civil duty and responsibility to discharge my function in strict adherence to the rule of law. And this, if you had a mindset to go in the public space to serve, your country, you will always be, on the right trajectory, pushing the agenda of the country. But in the absence of sincerity and that commitment that comes with that value system that will be imbued into you to actually discharge, that spirit of nationalism, it will be difficult for the country to improve. Other countries that are improved, when you look at even besides China, look at the surrounding countries like South Korea, Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. How did they manage? Some of these things come with hard work. It come with commitment, sincerity. And all the countries, they are becoming economically strong because of hard work. Like for instance, you have other, people who are appointed in the government, they go to office by 2, 3 o'clock, they leave the office. and the way you're supposed to have done in a particular time frame is not being delivered. Other people come in government, no idea, nothing. But some of these issues that have been helping China is that there's no way that the Chinese government will put you into government before any government idea. It's not possible. Before you have been to entrust you with political power, to entrust you with any other a position in the People's Republic of China is based on trust. And you are being trained and that orientation is there and what the credo of the country, history will be respected by you, and you uphold that dignity of the nation because you are being taught with our philosophical ideas to uphold the moral dignity of the country. So anybody who goes contrary to that, it means that you'll be dealt with according to the law. So in Liberia, how many persons comes to government without experience? How many persons comes to government who are gone to a workshop, who have been taught, with the Constitution of Liberia to respect the nation, who are gone through some workshop to be taught on how we can move Liberia forward. So many persons come with different thought into government, and their thought is contrary to the creed and the creed of the nation.
Is it because of the way our democracy is structured, or what? Because it allows everyone the chance to participate.
Democracy is not a bad system, but you need to set a benchmark. Every country, you need to set a benchmark. Because the political system of the country, it is difficult in other countries to just come from outside to penetrate, because you must have been taught with the philosophy of the country. How can you come into the country? He said, how can you come into a leadership of the country? He said, no, the historical narrative of the foundation of the state. You will be taught how Liberia came to existence. What Liberia had. What are some of the challenges that Liberia have faced over the years? What are some of the perennial problems that Liberia continue to face over the years? What are some of the national challenges that we have faced over the years? Is it education? Is it infrastructure? Is it agriculture? What can we do as national leaders to come together and tackle these problems so that in the time frame we can be able to mitigate some of the problems so that we can.
And that's why I want to ask, in terms of Liberia's, own development, you think what was the attribution?
I've said today that some of these things, you blame the government squarely because the government is elected by the people to pursue the agenda of the people.
But even if the government has a very good agenda, but the people are not willing, then there will always be an issue.
This is why you are being elected, and the Constitution that is a supreme law gave you the power to exercise the constitutional duty as the president of the Republic of Liberia. You are being assisted by the vice president, your cabinet minister, and for the sake of check and balances, the judiciary is there, the legislature are there. The legislature is there to be able to do the check and balances. So in the spirit of coordination, the three branches of government need to work in line so that the best thing can be done. In the absence of that, it is difficult because I can say that leaders of the country, national leaders, play a key role in the development aspect of Liberia. If we, the leaders of this country, if we set example on ourselves, you will see the ordinary citizen will be straight, but it will continue to evolve. How many native persons that the corruption, reported few days? How many persons that indicted? The indicted will be people.
It's still the investigation still ongoing.
So I'm just telling you that the layman way in the village over there, the man needs medical attention.
Yeah.
He just needs a hospital to be built in area to go and take treatment. He just needs a school to be built, to be able to go to school, children go to school and learn to become future leader. But when that money is being siphoned and funneled by individuals who are so greedy and rapacious, and just grab the money and just eat. What happens? You are robbing somebody who's supposed to become a future leader who is way in the village that needs a medical attention to survive. You are robbing the person for his right. And corruption, it's a menace that continues to fight against the growth and development of Africa. And corruption has been rampant because of the lack of rule of law, the lack of adherence to the rule of law. So these are some of the, and comparatively in China, they don't do that. If you are found in any act that contravenes the law of the state, they deal with you according to the law. There's no way that your parent will come to even speak for you. Nobody, no compromise. But in Liberia, yeah, when policemen arrest somewhere, you call a moment of interest, they lead the person, how the country will move ahead. So some of these things need to be instituted so that our country can move forward. Because there have been no country in the history of, in the political history, globally, that had developed in the absence of rule of law. It's not possible. Strict adherence to the rule of law is a benchmark to development, because it cannot develop with selective, justice, where you will select certain people. And so, if you want to, pursue people on the basis of, dispensing justice, you should do it in line with the law, and should deal with people according to the law. But in Liberia, we relax, and I did a research on corruption before. Where corruption is rampant in Africa, it means that there are weak laws, and the implementation of the laws are also weak. But when the rule of law, the adherence to the rule of law is strict, you see people will be strict.
Okay, that's Representative Nika Ige. He's our guest on the program Channel Hour. We take it a very short break. When we come back, we'll tell you how the Chinese embassy near Monrovia has been involved with some humanitarian outreach, reaching out to disaster affected residents of Monrovia and its environs. Let's take a break and be right back.
扁担块板凳长，扁担想绑在板凳上。伦敦玛丽莲买了件旗袍送妈妈，莫斯科的布斯基爱上牛肉面疙瘩，各种颜色的皮肤，各种颜色的头发，嘴里念的说的开始流行中国话。多少年我苦练英文发音和文法，这几年换他们卷着石头学披上去路的变化。平平仄仄平平仄。
Okay, I'm sure you're enjoying this one, but let's take this one down to tell you exactly what the Chinese government has been up to lately, getting involved in humanitarian release to disaster victims in the country. The Chinese ambassador Yin Chen-wu, during the week on a review, made an intervention providing assorted food items to the National Disaster Management Agency. Here is Ambassador Yin speaking at the presentation of the items.
Natural disaster is a common challenge for humankind. Liberia is deeply affected by natural disaster. So is China. So we understand the situation. So we are willing to extend a helping hand and confronting the challenge together with our Liberia friend. And on behalf of the embassy, we are donating 200 bags of rice, 40 barrels of oil, and 600 cans of beef. And the donation is a demonstration of friendship. China has always been a reliable partner of Liberia. Over the years, China and Liberia have stood together and supported each other in difficult times, say in the fighting against Ebola and COVID-19. A friend in need is a friend indeed. Now facing the challenge, we'll stand together with you again. And thanks for your reaffirmation of the One China policy. You're honorable. And I think this is also a demonstration of a friend. The donation is a demonstration of hope. Natural disasters always bring damage to people, sometimes even make people despair. In adversity, a warm word can be encouraging. A piece of bread can make people feel stronger. I hope the donation can relieve people's suffering, help them overcome the difficulties, and recover from the disasters. And the donation is a demonstration of responsibility.
Chinese Ambassador Yin Chen-wu, they're speaking at the presentation of assorted food items to disaster victims through the Disaster Management Agency of Liberia. Well, its executive director, Ansu Dolly, thanked the Chinese government for the donation, which he described as timely.
On behalf of the family of the National Disaster Management Agency, we are perplexed and we are happy. And our spirit even now try to de-individuate our system. These items couldn't have come anytime but this time. On the 28th of June this year, there was a flash flood. Over 45,000 slum dwellers were affected. Our citizens were moving from shelter to shelter, from place to place, and some of them still live beneath the surface of water. And so, to receive this item, there's something in law called dying declaration. Any statement that is being said by somebody that is drowning is seen to be authentic. And so at this stage, the NDMA was in a stage of total confusion. How do we cater to the needs of our people? China have come to our aid. We cannot all emphasize the one China policy because you always bring our friends evidence by development that you've been doing to also sit in your embassy to know that the government of Liberia through the Ministry of State needed something to be presented to the NDMA. We appreciate it very hard. You see, as if you can see the faces of our employees here, they are all happy. They are all praying for China to do more. These things will go a long way and we'll remember it. And we will give you stage by stage, synchronized and systematic explanation of how this food will be distributed. And we'll give you a full report. Honorable Ambassador, we need rice, we need oil. We also need training for our people. We need scholarship for our employees.
Okay, that's Ansu Dolly. Ansu Dolly is the executive director of the National Disaster Management Agency. Speaking there when the Chinese ambassador Yun Chen will reach out to the agency to make some donation of assorted food items as the flood continued to ravish the lives of Liberians during this rainy season. Let's go back to our studio guest. And of course, I'm here with my colleague, Emmanuel Tatumu Koli, with our representative from Nima County District 3, and alumni member of the University of International Business and Economics in the People's Republic of China, Nika Ike. Back to you, Honorable Representative. In a few weeks' time, African leaders will converge in Beijing for the Forum for China and Africa Cooperation. Tell us about your take about this big, conference coming up.
I think the focus is actually intended to enhance economic cooperation with African countries that China is in relationship with, and most of the time, African countries converge in Beijing to discuss issues that are intended to promote the friendship between China and Africa, and also on the basis of economic cooperation in diverse areas, especially trade and investment, agriculture, energy, infrastructure, vocational programs, and how we can, use the friendship as a vehicle of transformation and actually moving our both continents, Asia and Africa, forward. And China has been playing a major role in connecting African countries to China, in the modern era. So I think the African countries attach great importance to focus as in as soon as possible time, most of the countries in Africa will be converging. The head of states, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and other countries, high-profile delegations will be arriving in Beijing to go through the very important summit. I'm of the conviction and opinion that some issues that are very cardinal to the growth and development of our continent will be highlighted, during the FOCA, summit in Beijing.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah, so we can just take few of the calls because we have less than 10 minutes to go to get the public participation here on Channel Owl. 077-056-7764, 077-056-7764, 088-408658, 088-408658. This is Channel Owl. Today we have Nima County District 3 Representative Ono Neka Ige. Yeah, he is, an alumnus of the one of the universities in China.
A very big one like that.
Let me go to the line and talk to this person. Good evening. Welcome to the China Owl. Make your import.
Thank you, Kawi.
Go ahead, Kawi.
Yeah, I want to thank the overall. I think he elaborated well. He has said it all. And he had a own experience in China during his stay there, and a recent visit there to the following. He got a whole lot of good support and good news. We will look forward China and that residential continue. Thank you.
Thank you. 0770567764. This is Channel Hour here on ELBC Radio. My name is Emmanuel Colley, Francis Spellina, Massimin Conan, and Emmanuel C. George. I be on our social media platform.
Let's talk to Isaiah Y. Johnson from the Channel Liberia Friendship School. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yes, you are live on the program.
All right. Firstly, I want to extend my thanks and appreciation to the guests.
Isaiah, can you just leave from the radio a bit?
Please get away from your radio.
Okay, like I said, I want to extend my thanks and appreciation to the guests in the studio. You know, when he speaks about China, sometimes you just want to fly and go there. China is a very friendly country. Since I've been with the Chinese embassy for some 3-4 years, they believe in honesty. They believe in sincerity, hard work. And so we want to bless God, you know, for our honorable and those that China sending for studies, capacity building. And let me just inform you that on August 1, prior to August 1, on the 20th of July, the ambassador served as guest speaker at the Channel Liberia Friendship School. And he made a donation, just as you say, humanitarian donation, we received a batch of rice, cooking oil, milk powder, which we've already said that once we open, our students, our teachers will begin to benefit from, you know, the donation of the embassy. So I said, thank you so much for the program.
All right, that's Isaiah Y. Johnson is the head of the Channel Liberia Friendship School on the Bourgeois Island. Someone around Battery Factory is right on the road, just in case you want to find that school there. The children there can learn Chinese. Let's get some parting comments from Representative Gay, because we have to make room for
the news,
news at 7.
Okay, so I'm grateful for the opportunity that has been afforded me to appear today to discuss Channel Liberia relations and some of the good things that Chinese have been doing and they continue to do. For me, as part of the government, I will encourage the head of state, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and especially who is conducting the foreign affairs of this republic, to continue to hold and to respect the one China policy. The Chinese believe in friendship. They believe in the promotion of mutual interest. And we believe that our friendship with them will actually move our country forward to actually help our development activities as they have been doing. And they are giving us most gifts. The University of Liberia campus at Fendel, the ministerial complex, a lot of facilities. So we want to encourage our government to remain friendly with China and to uphold and always promote the one China policy. Thank you very much.
Okay, email.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mr. Gay, for being part of today's edition of the China Hour here on the state broadcaster. And of course, many thanks to those who've been watching via social media. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I'm told this program was also relayed in Grand Jide.
Yeah, sure.
Voice of
Jide.
Okay, Voice of Jide. Well, my name is Francis Pollard. I'm saying thanks for being there, and thanks to our social media team that has been live streaming this program. Masiami, Conan, and of course Emmanuel C. George. They've been teaming up to make sure they bring you live.
Meg Johnson Wallace too has been behind making sure.
The producer in the background. Do have a pleasant evening.